Hello everyone, welcome into Fatty's Feast, where we make the best food you'll ever eat without leaving your backyard. My name is Josh, and today we're going to be whipping up some delicious, smoky, spicy Nashville hot chicken. Let's get started. Well, hello. It's so good to be back. Welcome to Nashville, everyone. I have been itching to come out here and do a video at my new place. It's been a little bit. It's been about 2 months. I said I was going to take a break. It was a little longer than expected, but you know, life happens. I'm trying to get my life together still. Every day. It never ends. But we're back to publishing videos and obviously smoking, barbecue, the most important thing. That's what I've been trying to get out here to do. And I figured, why not kick the start of this channel off here in Nashville with the staple recipe of Nashville, Nashville hot chicken. Now, I did do this recipe kind of last year, around this time actually. I wanted to see if I could use the same rub and ingredients in Nashville hot chicken, but instead of frying it, smoking it, and see how it kind of tastes. Is it just as good? Is it not? I liked it, but as I've been down here, I've realized I have an obsession with Nashville hot chicken, like an addiction, I think it is. And I have been trying all sorts of hot chicken places. I've come to realize there's certain things you need to do with Nashville hot chicken to make it Nashville hot chicken, right? Now, one of those things is frying it, which we're not going to be doing today, but I've made some tweaks to this recipe after studying it a little bit and realizing what I did wrong in the last video. So as you can tell behind me, the smoker is not fired up because we have some prep work to do. And that prep work is very simple. Now, what we're going to be using for this recipe is about 3 pounds of chicken thighs from Costco. Very cheap as always. You can use breasts, wings, thighs, whole chickens, doesn't really matter. I like to use the thighs. I like the dark meat. And you notice I did cut the skin off these thighs. I like to leave the skin on most of the time, but with these Costco thighs, a lot of times the skin's like falling off anyway, and I really want the smoke to penetrate the meat. And I think last time I did this recipe, it had a little bit of trouble. So typically when prepping Nashville hot chicken, you're gonna put it in a buttermilk brine. We're not doing that today because we're not frying it, so we're just gonna do a normal brine. Now, I do have a visitor that doesn't like Nashville hot chicken, so I have a separate container here for her. And in this pot is just my simple brine. All it is a gallon of water, 3/4 of a cup of salt, and 1/3 of a cup of sugar. Now, one thing I'm gonna add to this brine to make it a little bit special is this Louisiana hot sauce. Now, for a long time, I was a Cholula guy, but after trying this stuff, I think I've made the switch. This crap is amazing. I put it on everything, my eggs, my everything. Milk, I'm just kidding. So I'm gonna add a good amount of this stuff in here, and it's gonna add a little bit of heat and get in the chicken, but it's really not the staple of the recipe. This isn't what's going to bring the heat, if you will. So let's just give that a good mix. And then right into here, I'm just gonna dump this bad boy. I think we'll have enough. Maybe too much, maybe too little. I don't know. Oh yeah, look at that. And then just to space it out a little bit, because I have some extra, I'm gonna put some in this pot. Just a few, just to make sure that brine really gets in there. Now, when you do a brine, please make sure you dissolve the salt and the sugar. What I did is I just added maybe a cup or two of water, put it on the stove top on a simmer, just dissolved all that in there, and then threw cold water with some ice to bring that water back down to a safe temperature. I'm gonna let these guys go in this brine for about 2-3 hours, just about, and then we'll fire up the smoker and put them on. You could do 4 hours, 5 hours. Just keep in mind, there is a good amount of salt in here, so I don't know if I'd do it overnight. It's not a whole chicken. So I would say between 2 and 4 hours is the perfect amount of time. So we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, smoker's fired up behind me. It's been about 2.5 hours. Got me some trays here that have just been covered in paper towels. And let's get our chicken out. So we're just gonna lay these out and dry them off a little bit. Now you can also take these out and let them air dry in the fridge if you like, but I don't have that kind of time today. And if we look at these, notice there's a little red tinge from the hot sauce. So we know that the brine did its job. So let's just pat these down real quick. And I'm gonna start by seasoning this side of them. And we'll give this side a pat too, why not? All right, I know I use salt in the brine. We're gonna do a little bit of salt. Just gonna come over the top, not too much because we don't want them to be that salty, but just a little more for, just in case, you know? And just for the initial part of this cook, we're keeping our rub simple. Just coarse ground black pepper. Probably should have gotten these towels up before I did that. Oops. And we'll flip them. And do this side. And lastly, just a little bit more salt. And look at that, perfection. Now, when I originally did this recipe, I actually used a complex Nashville hot chicken rub to season prior to smoking. And you can do that, and it worked fine, but the problem was with those complex rubs, you end up blocking out a lot of that smoke flavor, and smoke is one of our seasonings, right? So we want to get that smoke flavor on here instead of blocking it out. So I'll show you what we'll do when we come back a few hours later. But for now, let's get these guys on the smoker. So the non-hot ones are going in the back, and then the stars of the show are obviously going in front. And there we go. And shut her down. So I'm using a combination of oak and hickory as always. We're gonna keep our temps around 240, 250, get some good smoke flavor on them. So we got about 2 hours before we have to check on these guys again. Let's just address some things real quick because we have some time. First of all, yes, I did make it down to Nashville in one piece, as you already assumed, but I really appreciate all of you who not only commented, but reached out on Instagram. The move itself went very well. I'm extremely happy to be down here, and it's the beginning of November, and I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. I could not be any happier. It's literally a beautiful day here, 75 degrees. I'm loving every minute of it. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the permanent resting spot for this smoker. I'm going to try to move some other things around if I can. But I do want to mention that big things are coming. And I'm not just saying that as a person you went to high school with who never got a real job and just releases rap albums. I mean it. Big things are coming, and you guys are going to enjoy it all. But thank you once again for all the support. You guys are awesome. It meant so much to me. I'm getting used to it down here. I don't regret the move at all. I miss some people from Connecticut, like my friends and my family, but it is what it is. You got to follow your heart, right? Now, one other thing I want to address is since I've been down here, I learned a barbecue lesson the hard way. And I'm talking about hard wood. So let's go check out my wood. Yeah. Okay, so here's my wood pile right behind me. One mistake I made once I got down here was ordering wood from a place I didn't necessarily trust or know. I just went on Facebook at the advice of some people who smoke down here and said, yeah, you can get really good smoking wood on Facebook most of the time. So I messaged this guy who had a lot of great reviews, and he said this is a mix of hickory and oak and people use it for smoking all the time. So I ordered the wood, and when it got delivered, I realized that some of this wood is really bad. So if I bring you in close, you can see that there's some fungus growing on some of this wood. There's mold. It's really not the best quality stuff. And unfortunately, I didn't pay attention when it got delivered. I just trusted the guy, and this is what I ended up with. Now, that being said, there were some good pieces in this wood. Probably only about a quarter of the load is good. And this is only a third cord or a rick. If you're not familiar with that, it's about a third cord because they measure things differently down here. So it's fine to some extent, but a lot of this wood is just gonna end up in my fire pit, unfortunately. And I'm gonna have to order new wood from a reputable dealer because you really don't wanna screw around when you're cooking with wood. Now, the guy that delivered it was just a younger kid. I wasn't gonna give him a bunch of shit about it or ask for a refund or anything like that. I just accepted it and went on with my day. I support him because he's got a small business that he does delivering firewood. And I think it was just a mistake on his part because he doesn't know really what kind of wood is good for cooking. So just make sure when you get wood for your smoker, you pick it up yourself, you look at it, or you have a very reputable company deliver the wood to you that can guarantee it is all good smoking hardwood. You know, sitting on my wood is pretty comfortable. I kind of like it. So I'm gonna chill here for a bit and we'll check back in about 2 hours. All right, we're about 2 hours in. Let's take some temps, and we're at, oh, it's not getting the bone, that would be helpful. We're at 162. Back here, probably around 163, 4, nice. How about these bad boys in the back? 159, okay. So we're pretty much all around even. Even these little guys, 162. And just take a look at the color of these guys, the juices. This is looking really freaking good. So let's shut this back down. Get out of the way, there we go. And now we gotta make our sauce. So, warming up some butter. Got 1 stick of butter in there, we're just gonna let that melt down as we make our seasoning. But first, we hydrate. So the first time I did this, I also made a sauce, but I put the hot sauce and butter together and a little bit of cayenne. So we're actually gonna be making the Nashville hot seasoning right now and putting it on our chicken, unlike we did in the last video, putting it on before we smoked it. Now, traditionally, the base of a Nashville hot chicken sauce is hot oil used in the frying process. Of course, we're not frying these, once again, so we're substituting that with butter. And then we're going to take our spice mixture, mix it with the butter, put it on the chicken. Sound good? Cool. So I got a small bowl here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit extra of cayenne. Cayenne is the main spice used in Nashville hot chicken. So you can use a 1/4 cup like I just did, or you can add more, add less. It's all about what you like as far as your spice level goes. In my experience, this amount you'll feel it, but it's not going to kill you. And I've had some hot chicken here that has literally killed me. Not only in the moment, but the next day, the next morning. It's not a good experience when you have hotness coming out of both ends. 1 tablespoon brown sugar. Actually, I'm gonna add a little more. Another tablespoon, why not? And we're just using that to balance the heat a little bit. Sugar, spice, always is nice. Tablespoon garlic powder, tablespoon paprika, and a tablespoon of chipotle. And let's give this guy a mix. Let's wet our finger, give this guy a try. That's some Nashville hot chicken mix right there. That's good. Chipotle is not overpowering, or excuse me, the cayenne, there we go, is not overpowering, but you feel it. So good. All right, let's get this bad boy mixed in. All right, butter's melted down almost. Might actually throw in a little more because we have a lot of spice mixture here. But we'll just mix this in. Notice how it's like a paste, so I think for the rest of this is a good consistency that I'd want. I think I'm gonna throw in a little more, and I'll keep this off to the side, and I'll make more butter if I feel the need to. And look at that. Oh, she looks beautiful. I think I'm actually gonna do that. I'm gonna make some more butter mixture, and then I'm gonna let these get up to about 175-ish before we start saucing them. So I'll bring it back in about, I'll say 20 minutes or so. Okay, so I'm gonna slide my top rack in here, and I'm actually gonna move these up to the top rack because I wanna do the underside as well. And we're just gonna flip them over one by one. And just as we do so many times, I'm just gonna coat the top side of these because I wanna get the spice mixture all over these guys. I just want to spread it out like so, trying to make it as even as possible. And that's how we have those guys coated. A little clumpy in some areas, but that's okay. We'll shut this down and let it set for about 15 minutes. And after about 15 minutes, this is what we got. As you can see, it's not as tacky as like if we used a barbecue sauce or something, but it's good enough. So we're gonna flip these guys over, and I don't know why I'm even screwing with these in the back. I didn't need to sauce them at all. Oh, they're so crispy. The skin is beautiful. And some of this is gonna stick to the grates, that's okay, or fall off, that's fine. It is what it is, we have plenty of it left. And let's mix up our guy here. We're just gonna do the same thing on all of these guys. Now this is very viscous, or I shouldn't say viscous, it's kind of thick. When you're using chicken thighs like this, it's a little harder to do than if you're using breaded chicken or fried chicken. So my concern is that some of it's gonna fall off, or it's not gonna be as evenly distributed. But that's why I wanted to put it on now and try to let it set a little bit. And you can see some dripping off here. That's also some juice dripping out. Now the sauce itself tastes okay on its own. It's not amazing. It's got a little bit of a kick. But once we get it incorporated with the salt and the pepper on the chicken plus the smoke flavor, I think we're gonna be in for a real treat. So let's close this down. And we're gonna cook these till they're about 180. And then we'll pull them. Remember, chicken thighs, I said remember chicken thighs go to 185 because they're dark meat. We're not gonna overcook them or anything. It's gonna be fine, trust me. Also another thing to note, when I said I was gonna check back in 15 minutes earlier, it was actually like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So make this when you get to about 175. I was gonna start coating them at 160 because I had a mind fart because I always do my honey butter chicken at 160 to crisp the skin up. And then I was like, oh yeah, we don't have skin on these. And they're gonna be crispy as hell anyway because we used a brine. Just make this when you're ready, just about ready to coat them. So I'd say 170. I'll see you in a few. All right, we have to start with 2 pieces of just bread, wheat bread. Usually it's white, but I'm using wheat because that's what I have. And look at our beautiful chickens. I mean, it's not as good as fried, but this actually crisped up a lot. And it might look a little dark and burnt, but it's really not. Like it's just the seasoning adhered to the meat very, very well. So we're gonna put these down one by one. And of course, there's no real method to this. And one little last touch, we have some pickles. Ooh, I dropped that one. We gotta get those pickles on there. That's a Nashville thing. Why? I don't freaking know. Let's do one more in the front for good measure. And we'll throw this in here, here, and here. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give these guys a try. Actually, I'm gonna eat this pickle. Oh, so good. All right, let me take a drink of my beer first. Okay, so initial impressions of this. First of all, the seasoning and all that stuff obviously doesn't adhere as good as it does with a breaded, fried thigh. The reason for that is because you're frying it and then you put the hot oil and all that crap on the chicken itself. It's going to kind of adhere to it. It's going to soak into the breading. Here we don't have that. Also, you have no grease soaking into the bread. I just did this for aesthetics. But this is what they do in Nashville. They put the bread under the chicken, so all of those seasonings will go into the bread and soak up the oil and stuff like that. Also, random point, I heard that a lot of people don't eat the bread. I love the bread. I think it's a great part of it. It looks really good, though. I'm very curious how this is all going to work together. Okay, that's interesting. The skin, I shouldn't say the skin. The chicken itself is crispy, the exterior. Obviously the hot, like it tastes like Nashville hot chicken. I would say a lot better than the last one I did, for sure. But there's something missing. I'm not sure what it is. I will say that seasoning, really, really good. But once you incorporate the pepper and the salt with this, it tastes so much better. And the chicken, obviously. Like, I was trying to taste the seasoning to see what I thought of it as time went on. And I was like, it feels like it's missing something. It was probably the chicken. That makes total sense, doesn't it? So, not bad at all. I think putting this seasoning and butter and all that stuff on after, I mean, that's going to let the smoke flavor kind of come through. And obviously, if I take a bite of this chicken here, I'm not going to get hot. I'm going to get smoke flavor, which is great. And the brine also kept the chicken very, very moist. Yeah, I think just that rub in general works better when it's in breading. I don't think it's bad though. Like, I think this is really good. This is way better than the first time I made it, mainly because I waited till after I got the smoke flavor on there, and then I put this rub on, or seasoning mixture, whatever you want to call it, with the butter. And also the skin is extremely crispy, or lack of skin. The exterior, we'll call it. So I really like this. I think it just works very well with the smoke flavor. And also, this chicken, even though I salted it after the salt brine, it's not overly salty at all. Actually, very hard to do that to begin with. So, I would freaking totally make this recipe. Maybe add a little bit more butter, but everything worked out very well. One more thing, as far as the heat level goes on this, if you like really, 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 really hot, add probably another few tablespoons of cayenne. I like really, really, really hot, but I have guests here. They don't want that. So you can feel it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not really, 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 really hot like you're going to regret it tomorrow hot. That being said, this concludes this episode of Fatty's Feast, the first Fatty's Feast episode here in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope you all liked what you saw. If you did, smash that like button. I'm playing with my hands. Get this content out to more people, and leave a comment on things you want to see me make on the smoker. That's all I have right now. I would say griddle, but I don't have one yet. Eventually I will. Put griddle recipes too. Over here, I'm going to leave a video specifically designed for your taste. You're going to love it. And then over here, we're going to put my smoker chicken playlist. Hours of entertainment. I forgot what I made today. Hours of entertainment just for you. Smack down in the middle. Subscribe if you love seeing this bald, beautiful, average diabetic. I'm out of sorts. I can't remember what I normally say. But if you like me, subscribe. And then until next time, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay hungry.